Today I want to tell you about a book called Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. So as the book begins, Genesis is walking home from school, excited to be having some girls from school over to her house for the first time. But when they arrive, Genesis is horrified to see all of her family's belongings sitting out on the front yard for all to see. Her heart sinks as she realizes that her father has gotten them evicted again. What started as the best day ever has taken a terrible turn. The girls Genesis had hoped would become her friends all laugh at her and call her names. As Genesis sits outside waiting for her mom to come home, she pulls a wrinkled piece of paper out of her drawer, and I want to read you just a few paragraphs that describe what this piece of paper is and what it means to Genesis. The list. Even though the paper is wrinkled and worn, I review and add to it all the time. Back in 5th grade, China and Portia slid a note onto my desk. Gullible me thought it was an invitation. And then I read the title, 100 Reasons Why We Hate Genesis. Stupid girls couldn't even count. They only listed 60 reasons, and they were stretching it too because some were really dumb. Like number 1, she smiles too much. Or number 39, she thinks she's got pretty handwriting. And even number 46, she bumped into me and acted like she didn't know it. Shoot, they should have just asked me for the rest because I've already added 24 others, like number 73, because she's always getting put out of her house. Or what I'll add now, number 85, because her friends dump her when they see her stuff on the curb like a Salvation Army pickup. Now my fingers tremble as I add number 86, because she let them call her charcoal, eggplant, and blackie. So that tells you a little bit about where Genesis is emotionally. And unfortunately, the kids at school aren't the only ones who comment on the dark color of her skin. She has her father's dark complexion, but he seems to hate that she takes after him. Her grandma barely has any photos of her hanging on the walls at her house. And Genesis has a feeling that the color of her skin has something to do with that. So when her mother comes home and finds that they've been evicted again, Genesis is not excited about the fact that they will have to stay at her grandma's house until they find a new place to live. So as you can probably tell, the family dynamics here are not great. Grandma is her mama's mom, and she can't stand Genesis's dad. This makes things tense between her mama and her grandma, even though Genesis' mom and dad have not been getting along for a long time. And this is mainly due to the fact that her dad drinks too much and gambles and is generally unreliable, which is why they keep getting evicted. So after a few days at Grandma's house, Genesis' dad reappears, and this time it seems like he has maybe gotten things right. He has found them a new house in a nice neighborhood, and although Genesis does not look forward to beginning again at another school, she's glad she won't have to face the girls who saw all her belongings put out of her house and laughed and called her names. As she settles into the new house and the new school, things actually seem pretty good. But this does not stop Genesis from obsessing over the darkness of her skin and trying to find ways to lighten it. If only she could make her father love her more, maybe he will change his ways for good. Because always in the back of her mind, there is the feeling of uneasiness that her dad will slip back into old habits and she will lose everything again. This is a really powerful and intense book that at times felt like a punch to the gut. Genesis is dealing with a lot, and her story is very emotional. I could feel myself physically getting anxious about what was going to happen while I was reading. And as you can tell from the section that I read with her list, Genesis has been internalizing every nasty remark and implied slight from everyone in her life, whether it's a random kid at school or her own family. Yet she keeps trying, making her way at yet another school and doing everything she can to try to save her family and their home. You can't help but root for Genesis and hope that she will learn to love herself. If you like realistic fiction by authors like Nick Stone or Janae Marks, this might be your next great read. So again, that's Genesis Begins Again by Alicia D. Williams. Thanks.